Commencing transmission. Engaging scramblers. Proxy chain initialized. And now, live from his hidden base at the Earth's core, the future ruler of Earth, Doomcock.
My friends, the Disney Corporation has lost its mind. I fear that the mouse's brains have been burned up in a fever of wokeness, kowtowing to their new LGBTQ plus masters who have effectively seized so much control over the company's agenda from within, they are literally trying to force Disney to actively work against their own financial interests and stockholder profits. And it's looking more and more like Disney is not only going to bend the knee, but actually pull down their red pants, bend over and say, "Thank you, sir," or "madam," or other pronoun, "may I have another." I mean, look at what's happening here. SJWs are demanding that Disney stop building new rides in Walt Disney World. They forced Bob Chapek to actually pledge to create LGBTQ programming targeting kids, and they've instituted such an atmosphere of intimidation and tyranny inside Disney that moderate and conservative employees within the company feel intimidated in what amounts to a hostile work environment. And they've added a same-sex kiss back into the upcoming Lightyear movie just to placate the Disney walkout people. I mean, folks, Disney is under assault from within as a result of these radicals. There is so much tumult going on in the gulag formerly known as the happiest place on earth, it's hard to truly process it all. But I will attempt to hit the highlights for you today in this video. This all started when Iger filled the company with LGBTQ radicals and activists, promising them a safe harbor free of discrimination. All well and good. It's perfectly proper for a company not to discriminate against gay people and to guarantee that they will be treated with human decency and respect. But the problem is, with these modern SJWs, nothing is ever enough for them. They feel like every institution owes them something more beyond equality under the law, and so, when Florida passed their so-called Don't Say Gay bill, these employees forgot that Disney is not supposed to be a lobbying firm. Disney is not a political action committee. Disney is not supposed to be a political wing of any particular party. They're supposed to be a for-profit entertainment company, responsible to shareholders and audiences for creating compelling content that makes money for investors. So it's no surprise that Disney did not initially chime in on this piece of Florida legislation because that's not their business. Disney is supposed to make movies and TV shows, not political action initiatives, especially when those political action initiatives run counter to their corporate mission of making profits. But no, the SJW employees, outraged that Disney is pursuing profit over bending entirely to their will and every whim, are emboldened and are doing everything they can to force Disney to bend the knee and surrender control of the company to them.
Man, that seems a little hyperbolic to me, Doomcock. How can you say that? Surely you exaggerate. The Disney walkout a few days ago was a complete bust. Maybe 100 people did a brief walkout and stroll around the block, but it was all over real quickly. Not much of a display of power, right?
Hey, you're being rational and sane, Harvey, but I'm doubting that Disney is any of those things. Chapek initially tried to keep Disney out of this mess, choosing not to comment on the Florida bill and actually doing political donations to both parties, as companies frequently do. And yet, the SJWs in Disney had a hissy fit. So immediately, Chapek caved, and now things are infinitely worse. Because once you give in to these SJWs in any regard, it's never enough, and they always come back demanding more. Case in point, the rides in Walt Disney World in Florida. In an article on dailymail.co.uk titled, "Disney Workers Threaten More Strikes Unless Firm Stops Building Attractions in Florida," including a Guardians of the Galaxy ride and a Tron roller coaster, in protest of the state's so-called Don't Say Gay bill.
That's a long article title.
It really is. The paper points out that, quote, "The upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy and Tron roller coasters are just two projects in the pipeline at Disney World that could be delayed if employees who are protesting the company's response to Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay bill get their way." Protesters have asked the company to halt donations to politicians involved in the passage of the bill, such as Governor Ron DeSantis, but they also want Disney to stop all construction and investment in the state of Florida until the bill is repealed.
Are you shitting me? These SJWs actually are trying to force Disney to stop building new rides in Florida until that bill gets repealed? And how is that supposed to work? DeSantis and the Florida legislatures don't give two shits if Disney builds new rides or not.
Correct, Harvey. The Florida governor could not care less. It doesn't hurt Florida any, but it sure does hurt Disney and Disney stockholders if they yield to these SJW demands. Disney needs a big influx of visitors to their theme parks this summer, and to gin up interest and attendance, they need new rides, and lots of them. So will Disney bow down to the wishes of these activists when clearly it will severely impact their bottom line and hurt attendance in the parks this summer? These rides are nearing completion and are close to being ready to go for their deadline this summer, and yet the SJWs want Disney to stop working on those rides as a protest against the bill. The article continues, quote, "The legislation, officially called the Parental Rights in Education Bill and expected to go into effect in July, would ban classroom lessons on sexuality, gender identity, and sexual orientation in a manner that is not age appropriate. Disney employees have called out the company for not taking a stronger stance against the legislation. On Monday, CEO Bob Chapek said it was a mistake not to take a stand against the bill earlier. He also promised to put together a task force to create more LGBTQ content for children," unquote.
Gay content for children? Boy, you weren't kidding about Chapek. He hasn't just bent the knee, he's groveling before these SJWs, giving them everything, including the kitchen sink. A sink that he's bending himself over.
Yep, and even with all these many concessions, it's still not working to placate these people. No, the wokeistas want a lot more than that. Get this, Harvey. The article continues, quote, "Despite these concessions, employees still took part in a company-wide walkout on Tuesday. About 60 employees gathered in a park outside Los Angeles," Reuters reports, and dozens of other employees walked out of their jobs at the company's studio in Burbank. The Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is set to open this summer at Disney World's Epcot Park, Disney says. The Tron Light Cycle Run ride does not yet have an opening date, though the park says it has now started testing the ride vehicles on the tracks. Going further on Monday, Chapek said Disney would put together a task force overseen by film executive Paul Roeder and Disney Parks marketing executive Lisa Beckett. The task force would be in charge of making sure that more LGBTQ awareness content is available for children. Last week, reports emerged that Disney was reinstating a kissing scene between two women in the upcoming Toy Story spin-off Lightyear, after Pixar employees accused the parent company of cutting gay characters from films. Pixar employees published an open letter this month alleging that nearly every moment of overtly gay affection is cut at Disney's behest, regardless of when there is protest from both the creative teams and executive leadership at Pixar. Since then, protests and walkouts have built up within the company, unquote.
So where does this stop, Doomcock?
Well, apparently it doesn't, Harvey. Rightly or wrongly, there are a bunch of parents outraged that Disney has put the kiss in, so this decision will rightly or wrongly impact their bottom line. And meanwhile, internally conservative and moderate employees are feeling stifled and bullied by the wokeistas who try to smother and shame anyone in the company whose agenda does not line up exactly with theirs. Fox Business published an article titled, "Disney's Left-Wing Activism Creates Environment of Fear That is Damaging Morale, Some Workers Say." The article says, quote, "A number of anonymous employees at the Walt Disney Company have spoken out in an open letter warning the company not to take political stances that alienate some workers and parts of Disney's audience, and claiming that Disney has become, quote, an increasingly uncomfortable place to work, unquote, for those who don't agree with explicitly progressive policies. The Walt Disney Company has come to be an increasingly uncomfortable place to work for those whose political and religious views are not explicitly progressive," unquote, the employees wrote. Quote, "We watch quietly as our beliefs come under attack from our own employer, and we frequently see those who share our opinions condemned as villains by our own leadership," unquote. The employees noted Disney's Reimagine Tomorrow campaign to promote underrepresented voices, and noted that the tomorrow being reimagined doesn't seem to have much room for religious or political conservatives within the company. Left-leaning cast members are free to promote their agenda and organize on company time using company resources. They call their fellow employees bigots and pressure the Walt Disney Company to use corporate influence to further their left-wing legislative goals," unquote. So there you have it, Harvey. The Disney Corporation has lost its mind. Disney is being ripped apart internally by their decision to concede to one political faction inside their ranks, and the rest of the company is in upheaval. And if Disney keeps sacrificing profits for agenda, the stockholders will be in upheaval as well. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha